Hey, Dustin. This is Conrad Ross with Establish. I'm calling in response to the question why the pharma supply chain needs to be improved, or more particularly, what are the improvements and opportunities in the pharma supply chain. I haven't talked to you in a while, and I do wish you a Happy New Year. Won't spend a lot of time knowing that this is a time-definite recording, though. What I've noticed is that in the pharmaceutical and related healthcare industries, it's not uncommon for us to identify annual cost reduction opportunities of 10% more. These opportunities are typically found in configuration of the finished goods network, in transportation, and in warehousing. The transportation costs in a pharma company typically average 2 to 6% of revenues, depending on the modes and classes of service used, and warehousing costs typically average 1 to 2% of revenues. Since product values, and therefore revenues, extremely high in the industry, cost reductions can be in the millions of dollars, and sometimes even in the tens of millions of dollars. I think this identifies, Dustin, the potentials for improvement in savings. Now to get specific about mergers and acquisitions. Pharmaceuticals can grow organically, by acquisition, or by some combination of two. By acquisition, I mean by acquiring other companies and also by acquiring products. Those that have grown by acquisition, sometimes for a variety of reasons, do not always fully integrate the acquisition company's supply chain purchasing functions into their own. If they were to do so, it would enable them to increase the leverage of their consolidated supply chain spends when negotiating pricing, terms, and or service levels with vendors meaning carriers, 3 and 4 PLs, suppliers, and so forth. Companies that have grown rapidly by acquisition typically contain significant opportunities to increase their spending leverage and consequently reduce their supply chain costs. The leveraging of spends in vendor negotiations, however, is not limited to companies that have grown by acquisition, and companies that have grown organically can also obtain similar cost reduction opportunities as in companies that are downsizing. There are many ways to increase the spend levels and as a result improve vendor negotiations. For example, companies seldom separate the transportation costs contained in the landed costs of their raw materials and thus miss the opportunity to leverage this spend with the finished goods spend when negotiating carrier agreements and rates. In addition, we sometimes find that there are missed opportunities for incorporating the transportation costs associated with the transfer of WIP inventories and finished goods into the combined transportation spend. So companies need to look carefully at their entire transportation spend from end to end so that they can capture the largest or the best opportunities for leveraging their spend. Not said very well, Justin. You'll have to work on that. Beyond leveraging spends, changes in manufacturing locations, product mixes, customer faces, and related service requirements and transportation warehousing costs are always occurring. And the finished goods logistics networks continually need to be evaluated to be certain that they remain efficient and relevant. The configuration of most networks require at least some modifications every 5 years. In addition, and it's still talking about, I've just finished warehousing costs and now I'm moving on, finished transportation costs and now I'm moving on to warehousing costs. In addition, while it's difficult to change third-party providers, or third-party warehousing providers, it's important to know that their costs are in line with the industry. And if a new agreement is being negotiated, it's equally important to know that their proposed costs will also be in line with the industry. Benchmarking warehousing costs and practices is an effective way to make this determination. Another way is to obtain costs through a formal request for proposal, RFP process. While either method, benchmarking or the RFP process, can be effective, we found that the RFP process is consistently the most effective for a number of reasons.